Have been doing hair for, let's see, maybe 18 years now. I'm a hairstylist, colorist, educator, salon owner. Made my way backstage New York Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week, promotional shoots for Refinery 29, done some shoots that have been published in Vogue. I have a salon in Winter Park, Florida. It's called A Collab Salon. The focus of today's class, we're really gonna do a haircut on our model over here. He has quite a bit of hair. When you were originally thinking about growing your hair out a little bit, were you looking for anything specific? What were your goals?
Having some length in the back, like having corners.
All right, so you like a little bit more of a square shape overall?
Yeah.
What about your styling routine? Do you actually take a blow dryer to this, or do you just throw some product in, let it air dry?
I pretty much wear everything. It's also just like an ease of styling thing,
okay.
You know, like whatever comes to you, whatever you feel like doing.
I mean, he's honestly giving me free reign.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine.
So I might go fairly really tight, like right here at the temple. I'd probably take that super tight and then get longer above this area and then start to blend that into the length as well as the top. His length on top, I would probably take maybe like an inch off and then start to really shape it so that we're taking out some of the weight and it's gonna stand a little bit more so that he can kind of play with the top a bit, but still have like that flow going backwards and into the mullet. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take around the parietal ridge here. I'm gonna focus right here on the sides because this is his shortest area and we really don't need this much length for what we're going for. So I'm going to focus on from the furthest point of the hairline right here to the corner of the ear. And we're going to take this as the very tightest part of the whole haircut. We're going to get longer from this point. This is called the HH6 or the Kime. My first shear that I ever purchased with Hanzo. I consider it my workhorse. It's just one of those shears that allows you to do a lot. It allows you to cut a blunt line as well as slide through hair a little bit as well. What I'm gonna do is just take my section here and just scissor over comb. Yeah, keeping the comb pretty flush with the head. And basically the teeth are pivoting out, which is giving me a little bit more length on the very top. So as I work from shorter to longer, it's tapering it as well. So it's giving me a little bit of a fade because I'm going teeth a little bit further away from the head, the spine of the comb tight against the head. So it's just gonna keep it a little bit longer to shorter. What I've basically been doing have been taking from diagonal back sections from the outermost point of the hairline to the top of the ear. And this is gonna be my shortest part. From there on, I've been working and bringing all the hair above that down to that same section. So I'm kind of keeping more of a stationary guide in this area. And then that's just gradually creating shorter to longer in my length. So, I mean, we could leave it like this, or we could take it super tight. We might as well go a little tighter, right? Because why not? So I'm gonna go with a 2-guard, fully open. With, when I say open, I mean like my lever is flush with the actual clipper. And then when it's closed, it's gonna be a little bit more at an angle with the clipper. When it's closed, the teeth are closer together. When it's open, the teeth are further apart. So I'm gonna start off with it open on a 2-guard. And I took a lot of the length already that I was looking for. So all I'm doing is really just tightening up the shortest part. And now I'm gonna go with no guard, fully closed. At this point, what I'm doing is I'm looking for the furthest point of the hairline where it starts to connect with the sideburn. So where that connection is to the sideburn, I'm gonna connect that to the top of the ear, and I'm gonna take that super tight. So this is gonna be the 0, fully closed. And then from there on, I'm gonna go fully open, just a little bit above that. And then I'm gonna find a middle ground between the two of those, and I'm gonna pull my clipper right in between the two of those, high and low, and find that middle ground just for the blend. And then I'm gonna go with my 1-guard, fully open, and then fully closed. Now you might notice I'm taking my clipper a little bit more at an angle. and I'm using just half of the teeth to create my fade. And that's simply because of the angle that it's at. I could go flush with it, but I feel a little safer just taking a few of the teeth rather than all of the teeth. That was a 1. Now I'm moving to a half, so I'm going a little bit shorter. And I'm gonna go fully closed and then just blend that out. So that's what it's looking like so far. Next, I'm gonna go with, this is called the 40T. This is like a really tight tooth blending texture shear. It's great for blending scissor over comb, clipper work, anything that's really tight to the head. It's amazing for that. You could also use it on longer hair as well, removing weight from the ends or from a curtain fringe or something like that. It's really, really awesome for blending in any sort of clipper work as well. So I already have my clipper work, I have my scissor work above that, and then I'm using this to blend the two together. I mean, honestly, it already looks really good. This is just like a little extra detail. So I'm just gonna repeat same thing on this side. So at this point, I have a really nice tight taper on either side. Now it kind of comes down to the rest of the cut, which is top and back. The back, I'm still trying to figure out what we're gonna do with this, but I think this is where we're gonna start because pretty much a lot of the front is gonna be the finished style, you know, what he's gonna see on a regular basis. So I wanna start to take away from this back part here. And when I lift his hair up, first thing I start to notice is right here in the center. You can see the perimeter drop down. The center part is longer than he needs. So I feel like we're gonna start to shape this up and really start to create a little bit more graduation and then add into the layering. So this can kind of come down quite a bit, at least 1.5 inches. I'm gonna take that perimeter and I'm just gonna clean it up. And then I'm gonna start with my graduation, and I'm still using that HH6. All I'm gonna do is just clean up this perimeter. And I do prefer a bit of a point cut. I notice that point cuts tend to make my haircuts last a little bit longer compared to a blunt cut. I feel like blunt cuts grow out a bit quicker. If you're looking for more of a traditional type of haircut, blunt cuts would fall into line with that. But if you're looking for something a little softer, something that grows in well, I prefer to point cut. So I have my length. I'm just making sure that this next layer doesn't go past that. So I'm just cleaning up anything that potentially goes past that length. Now I'm gonna start to work in vertical sections and just elevate roughly about a 45. I'm just looking for my initial guide right here. Standard, I would pretty much cut blunt, but again, I wanna cut a little bit softer, more at a 45 and get a softer finish. From hair school, we've learned graduation is all about building weight. So all I'm doing is just creating a bit of a shorter to longer, creating more of a stack with my layering. And then as I get higher up in the hair, I'm gonna create more layers and remove more weight. So now I'm getting right into this crown area. I'm gonna work a vertical section. I'm gonna hold the hair pretty much 90 degrees straight out, more into a layering position. My initial guide is right here, and then I'm just going to remove all that excess. So I'm trying to get more and more layering to the mullet part. By point cutting, you're gonna get a much softer finish on those layers as opposed to just a blunt cut. A blunt cut, you need a lot of precision. You need a lot of clean lines. Otherwise, you'll see all the imperfections. And honestly, the cut grows out too quickly, in my personal opinion. You don't get as much longevity out of that haircut. So whenever you're creating a lot more softness and a lot more texture into that hair by really softening those ends, it allows it to blend into the previous layers much, much easier. So as you come out is when you close the shear. Using a texture shear to remove length is something I definitely do quite often Whenever I'm working with longer hair, as soon as I get to the very top part of my section, pretty much from recession to crown, a lot of times I'll take some of what I previously cut as my previous guide and hold the top part in with it, and then I'll use a texture shear to remove the length and add weight removal, softness on those ends, all in one shot. So it kind of just saves you time. This is a VT1. This is much more of a wider tooth texture shear, and what you're going to get is you're going to get a lot more visual texture with something like this. So I'm going to use this to not only remove length but also add texture while I'm removing that length. So it just helps you get through a haircut much quicker because you're doing two things with one tool. So this is my previous guide. You can see it right there, right? And boom, took off the length. One thing I really like using that one for, that really longer texture shear, is like shattered bobs. I'll use it to really just kind of work my perimeter around a bob and really shatter it out. Because it's got such a longer blade, it gets you to really cover more ground rather than chipping away little by little. So the shear he was just talking about is called the Kamikaze. This one is definitely a specialty shear. It's got more of a curved blade to it. So if you look at it on the inside, it curves out towards the tip. So as you close the shear, it pushes hair towards the tip of the shear. Whereas any other traditional shear pulls hair towards the V of the shear, this does the complete opposite. So it is not meant to cut a straight line. It cannot cut a blunt line. It's not possible. So it's meant to completely push hair towards the tip of the shear as you cut, which is great for slide cutting. So if you take a section of hair and you decide you want to just carve into it and really kind of slide into that section, or you want to slide around the face frame, this is going to be that shear for that. As I slightly close it, I'm turning the shear and really kind of carving out extra weight. So I'm creating like C curves in this section of hair, which is going to add a little bit of negative space in there and separate the layers. Just in the areas that are really thick, like right here in the center is not, so I'll leave that alone. And then I'll come over here, just carve that out. And that's just creating shorter to longer pieces. And anytime you incorporate shorter hair within longer hair, short hair always pushes long hair. So you're going to get more volume, fullness out of all that, as well as nice texture. I'm getting a good flow to the overall haircut. It's all sweeping back nicely. It's graduating until I get to some more layers up top here. So I got a good amount of weight removal. When I lift up the hair, it's falling nicely in like a nice stack. So it kind of comes down to him how he wants to style it. We can kind of go something a little bit more swept to one side, or kind of wear it back and just kind of let it fall to either side. Create more volume in the front, like a pompadour or something. So yeah, typically I'll spray this in the root area. And then I do a lot of my blow dries on shorter hair with a comb. So what I'm looking to do is either utilize the wide tooth if they have really thick, coarse hair, or the fine tooth if they don't. Pretty much all I'm looking to do is just create a little bit of tension right here at that root area. So as I blow dry in, I'm just creating enough tension to get that volume and that height that I'm looking for as it dries. Now we got a good base for whatever product we decide to use. So I'll just make sure I kind of melt it really good in my hands so that when I spread it, it kind of gets everywhere rather than just one specific area. So I'm not focusing it on the same area constantly.
I don't know that I'll come to work.
Yeah. This is going to take a little style.
I will try it. Yeah.